Hi guys, this is Melissa and I've been wanting to do a demo video on Baltic Style Pickup weaving for a while now, and I'm finally getting around to it. So this is what Baltic Style Pickup looks like, and you can do some really fun designs with this. This is a form of inkle weaving, which just means that it's a narrow band or a ribbon or a strap or a belt or anything else that you could use narrow weaves for. Before we get started on the actual weaving and the setup, I would like to credit some of my resources just so I don't forget to do it. Let me adjust my camera so you can see some of the things. I'm going to be using this image to demonstrate warping in the setup, and this comes from Edith Miller Blogspot, the Completely Dressed Anachronist. And this is her medieval crafting skill of the month of February 18th, 2014. So I found that through a Google search. And then the other one is going to be our pattern that we're going to be following. And this is a pattern that I also found on Blogspot, the Durham Weaver Blogspot, a weaver's journal. This is also from August of 2014, totally coincidental. The weaver actually used a rigid heddle on this, but it also works for pickup. So with that said, we're going to go back to our setup. And I want to show you, let's get that a good, so you can see that clearly. And when you set up, when you're warping your loom, and that means putting the threads on the loom, you follow this pattern. You have your background threads, which are represented in the green squares, and you have pattern threads that are these red pea squares. The white squares just are for visual space. They don't mean anything. Nothing goes there. That's just to help you visualize. This one goes first, then this one, then this one, then this one, and up and down and up and down. One thing to note with pickup, your pattern threads need to be twice as thick as your background threads. So what I've done here, now you can either use a thicker thread or you can double up the same thread. And I've doubled up the same thread for all intents and purposes. You can see here off to the left, those two threads are treated as one. They are now married forever together until death do them part, or they have a tragic divorce via some scissors, but they're basically treated as one thread. When you are threading, you thread in sections, like so. So this is your first section. You're going to have a pattern thread with a background thread on either side. Your O and your H, that's for open, meaning no heddle, and the H is for heddled. That means that thread is going to have a heddled, and I'll show you what that means in just a minute on the loom. But you're going to have an open, heddled, open, open, or heddled, sorry, open, heddled, open, heddled, open. And each pattern thread has two background threads between each one. And so you just continue this pattern for however many pattern threads you need. This would be for 3 pattern threads. My design has 7 pattern threads. You could use any number of pattern threads, however wide you want your design to be. So what does that mean in real life? Let me show you. So we're going to zoom in here. And these are the heddles that they're talking about. This holds these threads in place. The unheddled threads can go up and down freely, and those are the ones that move on the loom. So for my pattern, I started out with four threads on either edge. So, and those alternate between heddled and unheddled. So I've got a heddled, an open, heddled, open. Okay, now we start my pattern. So I'm going to have a pattern thread with a background thread on either side of it. So there's a background that's heddled because my last one was unheddled. So that's heddled. Here's my pattern thread. And here's my other background thread. And so that's that pattern. We're going to continue on. The next one, this was heddled, so this is unheddled pattern. And you see how my pattern threads are being treated as one thread. They both go through that same heddle. And continuing on. Background, pattern, background. 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 And that's my 7th pattern thread. And then I have 4 edge threads, 4 border threads on this side. And every other one is heddled or unheddled. You can also think about it as start with a background thread, pattern, background, background, pattern, background, background, pattern, background, background, pattern, background, background, pattern, and so on. Whatever's easier for you to think about. But doing it this way lets your pattern threads alternate. So in one shed, when I push down, I have 3 threads up. And in the other shed, when I lift up, I have 4 threads up. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see that movement a little better. Down, I have 3 threads up. And up, I have 4 threads up. I did my pattern so that I have a total of 7 pattern threads all together. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with a little bit of a border on either side. Now let's go to a pattern and how to read a pattern. So when you're looking at a pattern, if you look at the overall pattern, it's got these cool diagonals and triangles. To get that pattern, you have to go line by line, and you read your pattern from the bottom up, which is the direction that you weave. When you're weaving, you go from the bottom up. So it's intuitive. So you start here at the bottom. This is your first pick, and then you would go to your second pick, and your third pick, your fourth pick, and you're reading one line at a time. One row at a time. Okay, this is a pattern for 7 threads, which is what I have. Now, how do I read this? Well, the colored boxes are the boxes for the threads that I want to be on top and showing on that line. The white boxes are the threads that need to be down so they don't show. So on our first line, I would want threads 4, 5, and 6 to show. Now this is our pattern threads, so it's pattern thread 4, 5, and 6. All of those black background threads I have, those just wind up in their natural position. You don't manipulate those at all. If they naturally occur on top, you would leave them on top. If they naturally end up on the bottom, you leave them on the bottom. You don't change that part. The blue pattern threads are the only ones that I'm manipulating. So 1, 2, and 3 would be down, 4, 5, and 6 would be up, and 7 would be down. The dots, not all patterns have these dots, but the dots can be helpful. The dots show you the naturally occurring threads in that shed. So in this shed, 2, 4, and 6 are naturally on the top. And that would translate to looking like that. On row 2 would be your other shed, where 4 threads are naturally up. That's where those dots are. And so that tells you what threads you need to manipulate and which threads you need to go up or down. Honestly, I kind of ignore the dots beyond just starting my pattern. Do I start where I have 4 threads up, or do I start where I have 3 threads up? Beyond that, I don't pay attention to the dots. But it can be helpful. It's a matter of working smarter and not harder. If I did my first row here, I'd have to manipulate a lot more threads than if I start my first row here. So that's one of the big reasons for the dots. Now, my pattern, where I am currently, if I can get my camera to show it without tumbling my camera over, I have just finished this triangle, this right-hand side triangle. So in my pattern, I have just finished this triangle, and so I'm on row 19 is where I am. So this is the row we're going to be working on. According to my pattern here, 1 is down. I need 2, 3, and 4 up. 5, 6, and 7 will be down. So let me open my shed. This is a shed that has 3 threads on it, naturally up. You can tell by the dots. 1, 2, and 3. Apparently I need an extra pair of hands here. But we're going to put down my pattern for a minute so that you can watch the actual weaving part. Okay, so we've got the shed that has the naturally occurring 3 threads. I need 2, 3, and 4 to be up. Thread number 1 is already down. This is 2. I'm going to go between my background threads to pick up thread number 3. Just the blue ones, not the black ones. 4 stays up, and this is 6. 6 needs to go down. So I will end up with those threads right there. And there's some twisting that's happening a little bit. That's okay. That's not going to show in the final weave. Let's do that again, just so you can see what that looks like. So I push down my shed. I have my 3 natural threads are up. 1 is down, 2 stays up. 3 I need to bring to the top. So I'm going to open up in between those background threads. And notice I'm going in between the background threads. 4 stays up, and that number 6 needs to drop down. I'm sorry, I'm doing that really out of the view of the camera, and I just realized that. Let me try that one more time so that maybe you can actually see what I'm doing. Haha. Because it would help if you could see. One is already down, 2 is up. We need to bring up 3, so I'm going to go between my background threads, open those up. Number 3 will come up. 4 stays up, and this number 6 is going to go down. And we're gonna do some more, just so you can see. And we're gonna beat it into place, give it some firm taps. And I'm holding it with my fingers so that the correct threads stay where they go. We're gonna place that shed. I like to leave a little loop. It helps me keep my edges even. We'll tighten that loop up next round. So for my next shed, number 20, I need 3, 4, and 5 up. So for that one, I lift. So thread number 1 can go down. 2 is already down. 3 is up. I need to pick up 4. So I'm going to go between my background threads, pick up 4. 5 is already up, 6 is down, and 7 is going to go down. And that gives me my next 3 threads. Now I'm going to show you something. I go through it backwards because I'm right-handed and it's easier for me to come from this direction than going this way. So I would look at this and I'd go 7 needs to go down, 5 can stay up, I'm going to go between my background threads and pick out 4, 3 can stay up, and 1 needs to go down. And I get those 3 threads. Let me show that to you again, going backwards, the opposite direction, because I think I went out of screen just a little bit. So I start from my right hand side, I pick up my edges, because background threads stay where they naturally occur. I'm going to drop number 7. 5 stays up. I need to go between my background threads and pick up number 4. 3 can stay up, and number 1 needs to go down. So I put my needle over it, but still under my background threads. Then my needle is holding the shed I need. This is just a little wooden yarn needle that I like to use because it has a good shape. You could use a pencil, you could use a knitting needle, you could use anything you need. You could use your own fingers, it doesn't matter. And then we're gonna, maintaining that shed, we're gonna put our shuttle through, beat, and here's where we're gonna pinch that loop. Woo! Not knock over the camera. Pull that little loop until it pops on the edge, bumps the edge just a smidgen, and then we're gonna pull that back through. Now, as you can tell, this weave has a diagonal that's starting. So if we needed 3, 4, and 5 on the last one, our next shed is going to need 4, 5, and 6. So sometimes with some patterns, it gets very easy to just know where you need to go. So 7 is already down, 6 is up, I need to pick up 5. 4 is up, and I can drop 2. So I'm going to put my needle over 2, but under my background threads, drop 2. And then I check it with my needle. You can see that's following the diagonal. So then I hold my finger, place my shuttle, give it a firm beat. Hopefully I do not knock over my camera again. I am having technical difficulties with this here. I am not used to weaving with a camera between me and the loom. That's crazy town. So I pinched and pulled that loop and I placed my next loop. And we're gonna keep going. Let's do another one. Now this one is where we need to be careful. Because if we go back, you can't hear me when I put things in my mouth. Durr. If we go back to the pattern, we look at the pattern, we are now at a spot where we are on row, we are here, we're on shot 22. We need 5, 6, and 7 because we just did 4, 5, 6. Now we need 5, 6, 7, but also notice this is where our next diagonal starts. So we need 1, 5, 6, 7. So right here is where we start. This diagonal is ending and this diagonal is starting. So just to give you an idea of where I'm going with this so it doesn't get confusing as to why is she picking up an extra thread? I don't understand. What's going on? She didn't explain that. What's this crazy lady doing? Who knows? So we've got 7 up. Heads up, 7 up. We're gonna pick up 6. 5 is already up. We're gonna drop 3. That was thread 3. And we're gonna pick up save 1. And if you're having a hard time following which threads are up and which threads are down, realize that one shed has odd numbers and one shed has even numbers. So let me get this placed. Let me get this weft placed here. And then you can see. So with our 7 pattern threads, if I go up, I have threads 1, 3, 5, and 7. If I go down, I have patterns 2, 4, and 6. So that's how I'm keeping my count. 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6. 1, 3, 5, 7. Come on, threads, cooperate. 2, 4, 6. Okay. So we're going to continue our pattern. Now, to follow our pattern, now we need 1 and 2 and 6 and 7. I have 2, 4, and 6 up. So we're going to come up here. I'm going to go between, these are my edges. That's a background thread. I'm going to go between those, pick up 7. 6 is up. I don't need 4, so I'm going to drop 4. I do need 2, and I also need 1, so I'm going to go between my background threads and bring 1 to the top, like so. And if we pull that down, you can see that that starts this diagonal and is ending this bottom diagonal. And keep going. And my edges are not looking great today, but that's okay. This is just for the technique. And you know, if things get tight or loose, you can always manipulate it a little bit. Next shed. We need to go up. So remember, now we have our odds up. We need 7 to finish out this diagonal, and we need 1, 2, and 3 to complete this diagonal. So we're going to keep 7. We don't need 5, so we're going to drop that one down. We want to keep 1 and 3, but we need 2 in the middle of that. So we're going to go right between those background threads and let that number 2 thread come up. And as long as you go between your background threads, your threads stay in their position. They stay in their order. And sometimes they kind of pop up the minute you separate that out. So, keeping your shed, I'm going to pick up the shuttle. I'm going to go back through, give this a tap tap, beat it in, pinch and pull without knocking over the camera. Pass your weft and place it into the crease. Now we're going to do another shed. So we're going to push down this time. And now we're going to finish out this diagonal here. So we don't need to pick up on this side anymore. And we already did 1, 2, and 3 on this side. So now we're to 2, 3, and 4. So coming at this, we need 2, 3, and 4. This is 6. We don't need 6. So we can drop 6 down. We're going to keep 4. We need to pick up 3. So you see if you go between those and just open it up, there's 3. 3's right there. Directly underneath it. And there's 2, 3, 4. So that's an easy shed. And you see it continues my diagonals. I'm going to keep our shed open with my finger because that's wider than my needle. Give that a couple of good taps. Pinch and pull your loop so you can feel it bump the edge thread. Then you know you're at your edge. Time to stop. Stop pulling. And you place that down again. Next shed. Now, we did 2, 3, 4 in that one. Now we need 3, 4, 5. So we don't need 7. So we're going to go push 7 down. Okay. We're going to, we need to pick up 4, so between here, we're going to open that up between our background threads. Oh look, there's 4. It's just kind of hanging out there. And when you pull them really far apart, it becomes really obvious which thread you need to pick up. And we're going to drop 1 down, like so. And then our needle is holding our new shed. There's your diagonal. You can pull it down. You check to see, oh yes, that is continuing my diagonal. It looks right. It's following the lines. So we're good to go. We're going to pass the shuttle. Give it a few solid taps. Pinch and pull without knocking over the camera. That's what we're doing. Oh, there's a little bump there where it touches that edge thread. And place your weft into your new crease. Whee. And continuing on. Now we need 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. Just to give you an idea that I can pick them up pretty quickly. It's not as slow of a weaving as I've been doing. When you get the rhythm, you can go a lot faster. Whoops. And if you don't leave your little loop, that's okay. You can always pull it back out. Do. And we're coming up again. Now look, we're finishing off the diagonal again. So this is where we need 5, 6, 7. Let me get down to where you can actually see what I'm pointing at. 5, 6, 7, and we need the 1 to start our next diagonal, which is actually going to be the start of our, whoops, triangle, because we are on row, doggone it, technical difficulties. We're up here. We're on row 28. There it is. Row 28. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. I may be a little delirious. So, keeping 7, picking up 6, keeping 5, dropping 3, and keeping 1. So you see how the pattern starts to repeat itself. I need to be pulling in tighter. I'm not quite, I'm getting really loose here. And I'm widening out, and you're seeing space on my edges here. And that's because I'm not pulling my weft quite tight enough. When you do these narrow ankle weavings, they're pulled quite tight so that you only see the warp threads. And I want to finish out this diagonal so you can see how it finishes. And I also want to kind of pull this a little tighter. So now we're on 7. We don't need 5. We need 1, 2, and 3. Pulling a little bit tighter, and I could go back and adjust these edges, but ultimately once I wash it and stuff, they really won't show. I was just starting to notice a little odd spacing. Ah! Oh no, I dropped my needle. Sorry, guys. I don't know why I'm having such difficulties today. I am not, well, I know why. I'm not used to weaving with a camera between me and my loom. That's kind of crazy. Not crazy. Just not what I am accustomed to. So now you can see that we finished out that diagonal. Now as we go, I want to do, well, okay. I do want to show you how we get that little triangle there, because we're almost to that point. We are one pick away from the point of the triangle. Let's see if I can show this to you without knocking over the camera, hopefully, maybe, possibly, okay? So we're here, and we just finished shot 31. 32 is the tip of the triangle, and then we're going to go back and start repeating. You notice how 33 and 31 are the same. They're both the same colors, and 34 is the same as 30, and you just basically work it backwards then. So let's see that in real life here. Holy cow, that's really zoomed in. Let's zoom out a little bit. And on tap, let's do that point. So that point is an up shed right here. We're going to drop 7. Pick up 4. And drop 1. Just, that looks right. Just double checking my pattern. Yep, 3, 4, 5. Because, you know, I had a brain freeze, and my brain was like, I don't know what we're doing anymore. Well, brain, we are weaving. That's what we're doing anymore. Why are you acting like you forgot how to do this? You're trying to show other people how to do this. Ah. Whoops, we just did that one. I know what my problem is. My problem is I'm talking and weaving at the same time. That's what the problem is. You would think I would be used to this. Now we're going to go back the other direction. So actually, I will drop number 6. Instead of continuing my diagonal, I'm going to take my diagonal the other direction. And we're going to pick up 3. Pick up 3, drop 6, and we're starting to head back the other way. Now we get a couple of long floats here in this section that are a little bit longer than the other threads. Most of your threads are only up on top for 3 lines of weaving. Like right here, most of your threads are only on top for 3 lines of weaving, and then they go back down. Right here, we're going to have some longer threads that are going to stay up for 4 or 5 lines of weaving, and that's okay. As long as it doesn't go much beyond 5, it should be okay. So now we are on this one. And this is where we're going to pick up 7 again. 7 stays up, 5 is going to go down, 3 stays up, we need 2, and 1 stays up. So you see we're going to start out of the diagonal going this way now, going that way. And I'll show you the floats. We'll finish this triangle, and I'll show you the floats, and then we can finally be done a long time later. So we're going to pick up 7. I'm going to move my camera a little bit so you can see it. Pick up 7, because I'm getting higher and higher up my weave. Drop 4 and pick up 1. Take our shuttle and give it the tappy, tappy, tappy. Pinch and pull. Sometimes a little wiggle to get it in there nice and tight. Need 7 and 6. Drop 5. Keep the background threads. Drop 3, we need 1 and 2. Yes, yes. Give it a tappy tap tap. I'm getting very close to my heddles, so I'm getting very tight space to work. I really should advance, but I want to finish this little section so I don't have to readjust my camera, because we all know I've been having camera problems, and that would just be a disaster. And last one. I think I did something wrong. I did. I made a boo-boo. Well, then that gives you a treat. You get to see me unpick. If you need to unpick a boo-boo, take your thread, take your loop, lift your threads up, stick your finger in there, pass your shuttle back through to get your warp out. Whee! Throw it on the floor. Because that works. Yay. Maybe today was not the day for me to do this. Take your general shed. Where did I make my mistake? Oh, right here. Because that was a down shed. Was that supposed to be down? What did I do? See, this is what happens when I'm trying to do 2 things at once. I'm trying to talk to you guys, and I'm trying to weave. And then I can't remember what I'm doing. And you know, the black threads don't really help in me seeing what I actually did. But my edge tells me that something went amiss here. Something went awry back there. So I'm going to pull this one out. We're going to back up a couple shots. Okay. So that one is the 4 up. That one is correct. Okay. That one is correct. We're going to go down 3. Maybe I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know. There's our 2. I think I did the wrong shed at some point in time. I stayed up when I should have gone down. So that one was a down. So now I need to go up. I think this is where I messed up. Maybe. 7, pick up 6, keep 5, drop 3, keep 1. Yeah, this is where I messed up. Yeah. Something like that. That's better. Yay! Again, I'm not at a normal angle of looking at this because I'm looking around my video camera. Because I can't do it when I'm looking through the video camera. I seem to have difficulty doing it. Alright, I want to do one more just to finish off this triangle and give you a really good look. So that was up. Now we're going down. Don't need 7, 6, 5. I'm going to do that again just to show you how that one popped up on me. So you had 6. Spread them apart. Look at that. There's 5. Just pops right up for you. And 4, and then we drop 2. There we go. Found it. Nailed it. So you can see, let me show you what I was talking about with the floats a minute ago. Most of my threads are only 3 rows long. So we've got 1, 2, 3. This one right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threads long. That long one right there on the inside center of that triangle. But it's okay. The danger of floats is that sometimes they could catch on something and they sit kind of on top of your warp, so they're not included in it. You don't want it to get much longer than that because stuff can catch on it. But that one's pretty snug, woven pretty tightly. I don't think that one's going to catch on anything. That one's not going to catch unless you really, really try. So this demo took a lot longer than I had planned. Probably more of a class. I might edit my videos. But I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it with my big fat fingers right here. Yeah. And we will see you later. Bye.